Evolution. The crew fights for survival when a mysterious force attacks the ship's life support systems. We made it to Season 3.
Things should be good by now at least, though, right?
One would hope. At least everybody has new uniforms. The Enterprise is going to check out some astrophysics stuff from a stellar explosion.
They're going with Dr. Dr. Stubbs, who wants to put a device that he keeps calling the egg close to this star that keeps exploding and ejecting matter into space.
It happens every 196 years. Dr. Stubbs is played by Ken Jenkins. I'll tell you what's a stub. His character arc is a stub.
At least he has one.
If a single point can count as an arc, I don't know. I didn't get that far in calculus. All of a sudden, the ship rocks violently and sends Dr. Stubbs hilariously off to the side, and the ship starts tumbling towards the red giant. The computer reports no malfunctions, but obviously something is wrong. Beverly is back, and nobody mentions Dr. Pulaski at all.
I didn't think about the fact that they didn't mention her, but I'm glad Beverly's back. I like Beverly. I agree that she's kind of dumb as a person.
Beverly bothers Picard, asking all about Wesley. There would be better people to ask than Picard.
People go to the captain for problems that have nothing to do with the captain.
Dr. Stubbs and Wesley are getting to know each other, but Stubbs keeps telling Wesley how hard his life is going to be because he's so smart.
Worf detects a Borg ship incoming, but it turns out to be another malfunction. Data says,
"It is conceivable that he was viewing a synthetically generated image, sir."
Maybe it's the guy from Schizoid Man that uploaded himself into the Enterprise.
Data also says,
"There's not been a systems-wide technological failure on a starship in 79 years.
But we've already seen the Enterprise malfunction and the Yamato freaking explode from malfunctions in the Iconia episode."
And even though they keep having problems, they don't leave. They keep hanging around.
The only reason why is because of Dr. Stubbs. He's obsessive about seeing the star explode and makes a bunch of irrational arguments for wanting to stay.
Right. Again, I would think they would have procedures for emergency situations.
Yeah, it's called Go Away. Geordi figures out there's some kind of disintegration in the ship's circuits, and Wesley comes to the realization that it's his science fair experiment. And instead of telling anybody, he tries to sneak around to trap the nanites that got loose. The whole ship thought they were going to die 5 minutes earlier, and the computer core on this hyper-megaton bomb you're all riding around could explode at any moment. I think you should tell somebody, you idiot.
He says that his experiment with the nanites was to study how they work in tandem, but it seems like that's something that people would already know. All of this stuff is caused by two nanites being left alone. I would think the people who created them, somebody at some point would have said, hey, don't leave them alone together. At one point, Dr. Stubbs talks to Wesley about baseball and reveals that his nerdiness knows no bounds.
I have played seasons in my mind.
They say the nanites are evolving, but they gloss over the details, which is the stuff that I would be interested in. Given their advanced tech, I would potentially be okay with the idea that they could improve on themselves as they replicate, but even their method of replication is glossed over.
So after being back for 10 minutes, Beverly is already going on about saving life and whatever. And I would also like to point out, nobody admonishes Wesley for being a dumbass up to this point. They could all be dead right now and it'd be his fault. Stubbs takes matters into his own hands and tries to murder the nanites, which then retaliate and try to murder all the people. Unfortunately, they fail.
Picard and Data say they can't just destroy the nanites because their behavior shows signs of intelligence. It was a very predictable direction for this episode to go in, and made me even less interested in what was going on.
So then Picard decides he wants to try and communicate with the nanites, and Data's explaining how it might be possible. During this conversation, Picard must be letting his age get to him. I don't understand why he's standing like that.
One detail I did like about this episode is when Dr. Stubbs is thinking about baseball, and we have the sound effects of a baseball game in the background. I also like when he gets electrocuted.
This episode is quickly turning into an exact copy of Home Soil, where something that wasn't perceived as being intelligent was intelligent and tried to eradicate the crew, and then they all have to learn how to coexist.
But that episode had some actual science in it.
Yeah, I know. It was like an igneous rock. Right. Data decides to serve as a conduit for the nanites to communicate. There is no reason to do that, since they are already communicating on the screen, and Worf's analysis is absolutely correct.
If they have control of a Starfleet commander, they become an even greater threat.
They decide to do it even though they just now established communication via the control panel. Shouldn't they at least try communicating that way first?
And then all of a sudden, Dr. Stubbs is super apologetic for no reason. And then the nanites reveal that in less than 20 minutes, they've evolved past the point of needing any help from anybody, easily reconstruct the Enterprise computer, and move on to a state of technology nirvana. And instead of using them as a new ally that could benefit practically every application Starfleet would ever encounter, like maybe the Borg, I don't know, they just dump them off on a planet and never speak of it again. Evolution, or the lack thereof. Overall,
I liked that they revealed the cause of the problems fairly early instead of dragging it out the way they usually do. But this starts out as a Wesley-centric episode, and he's almost not in the second half at all, and no one ever says to him afterward, hey, don't mess with shit without talking to us about it first. Dr. Stubbs was stupid and over the top. I hated him so much. All of the reasons for things happening and their reactions or lack of reactions were kind of stupid. I'm gonna give it a D+.
I gave it a D. Dr. Stubbs didn't contribute anything, and after the ship starts to malfunction, his entire arc ceases to matter. It just became another, our ship is broken, how do we get out of here before we die episode. At the beginning of Season 2, it really felt like a season opener. It really announced itself. Whereas this one felt like a generic, run-of-the-mill, dumb decision episode, bloated with needless drama. It didn't feel like the start of a new season. Something fresh.
That is very true. Okay, I just noticed that we see Wesley walk into 10 Forward with his arm around this girl, but I'm sure she's never going to show up again.
Want to see my nanites? Maybe we should do some replicating of our own.